Hey guys, welcome back on this three-part tutorial on creating and publishing your first game. From our previous tutorial, we're developing this on a platform called GDevelop. It's a 2D platform specifically for developing games. Where we left off from our previous tutorial, if you remember, we've created these three balls wherein we're able to pick them up and added physics to them so that we're able to affect other objects like the box and that red target on the other side. Let's continue on the tutorial. Let's go back to home, and as you've seen, we've finished this first tutorial. We've hit 100%. Now we can proceed on to the second part of the tutorial. This second module is for improving and publishing your game. It covers several topics like the game background, the UN message, in-game obstacles, and sharing online. Let's click on this one. And are you ready? Let's go. From here, we can click on Start Next Chapter. And then let's find the background for our game. Let's click on an Add New Object. And then from here, as you remember, this is GDevelop's asset store. We can type in background. Let's pick a nice background here. This one seems to catch my attention. Looks very nice. Let's add this to scene. And we can click close. That's great. Let's click on this. Let's close this objects group. And from here, let's select on this background. And let's drag it over to our screen. It says drag to expand the size of the background color glass until it stretches over the entire game area. Let's position it to the upper left corner, and we can stretch the image by highlighting these handles. We can click on the handle and stretch it all the way to the other corner of the screen. Then let's click I'm done. However, you can see that as we've stretched the background over the entire work area, it's covered the borders as well. You can think of this as layers. What we've done is we've actually put another layer on top of all the other layers. To be able to switch the order of the layers, we can change the Z order of the background grass to -1 so that it's behind all the other instances of the scene. Let's change that one to -1. And then there you have it. We can see the borders once again. Now let's add some protection for that red target. Let's add a new object. And then this time, let's type in block. This time, let's choose a brown block. And let's add these to the scene. You can see the brown block over here on the right hand of the screen. We can click close on there. Let's make them static so that they act as a wall. Right click on the brown block and let's select edit behaviors again. Let's add a new behavior and physics engine 2.0. Let's select static and we're good. Let's apply. And let's add a few brown blocks to the scene to protect the red target. Put one over here. Let's put one over here. And let's put one over here. If you remember from our previous tutorial, we've set these green blocks to dynamic, but now we've set these brown blocks to static. What that means is these brown blocks would remain in place, whereas these green blocks would still be affected by gravity. We can see this by clicking on the preview of our project, and sure enough, you see these static boxes hold their place, wherein these green boxes, since we've set them to a dynamic behavior, they are still affected by gravity. That's the difference between the static and dynamic behaviors. Let's close this one. And I don't really want to have that green box fall on top of that brown blocks. So I'm going to move it over. Now let's create a winning message. Let's add a new message. This time we'll create a text from scratch. Let's create new object from scratch and let's select text. We're going to change the object name to you win. No spaces. This is the name of the object, not the text that's going to appear on the screen. Here the font size, let's change it to 200. And this is actually the message that is going to appear on the screen. Let's type you win. We're done. And let's click apply. Now let's drag the you win message into the scene and center it as well as possible. That should be good. Now let's add a new layer. Here we can change the name to win layer, and we can hide the visibility of the layer by clicking on these eye icons. But you notice that the you win message is still there, right? That's because the you win layer, as you can see if I click on it, that you win layer is still on the base layer. You can see it on this left hand side. We only want this you win message to appear when we actually win the game. To hide this layer, let's place this you win text message on the win layer. And because we've set that win layer to be hidden, to be not visible, we aren't able to see that you win message as well. Awesome. Now let's click I'm done. Now we're going to add some logic to our game. Let's click on these events tab and let's add our first event. Let's add a condition and let's select the large blue ball. Let's select the collision condition and select target red. Let's click OK. Now let's attach an action to that condition. Let's click on add action and select target red. It's telling us to scroll down and delete that object. Alright, target red will now disappear when the large blue ball hits it. Okay, let's add another action. And this time, let's click on layer and then let's show layer and select the layer that we just created. That's the win layer. Then click OK. And then let's go back to the scene to create some constraints for the player. Actually, you know what? Let's preview our current project and let's see what happens. With that condition that we've previously set, or game logic, logically if we throw this ball or if we're able to hit that target, nope, let's try it again. It is quite challenging, as you can see. Let's try that again. You win. Awesome. Let's continue on with tutorial. Now we'll define an area where the player can grab the large blue ball. Outside of this area, the blue ball will be free, but we're only able to touch the blue balls within this area. Let's add a new object. Let's choose an object from the asset store. Let's choose another background. Maybe for this object, let's choose this castle. Okay, let's add this to the scene. And now let's use it. Let's close. Let's drag the castle to the canvas and let's put it onto this left corner. I think it might be a little too small, so let's make it a little bigger. Let's drag and resize the castle until it covers the lower left side of the game screen. Let's click I'm done. So make sure that the castle is selected and change the value to 0. By changing the value to 0, we ensure that the balls are in front of the castle. Had we left it to something higher, what happens actually is the balls will show up behind the castle, and that's not what we wanted. To ensure that the castle sits behind the balls, let's set the Z order to 1. Now let's deactivate the draggable behavior of the large blue ball when outside the castle boundaries. Let's create a new event. Let's add a condition. Let's choose the balls. And we're going to select collision again. We're going to select the castle. And then OK. Let's right click on this newly created condition and let's select invert condition. There you go. We can also actually invert the condition by clicking on this switch. Now let's click and add an action. Let's select the large blue ball again and release dragged object. What this actually means is the condition states that when the blue ball is not within the bounds of the castle, then we release the blue ball. Let's go back to the scene and let's rearrange the blue balls to be inside somewhere around this castle. Let's click I'm done. And arrange both the green and brown blocks in a way to protect the target. I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to click I'm done. Now let's preview our game. Alright. As you can see, as long as my blue ball is in contact with the castle, I'm able to move this blue ball around. But the minute that I'm outside, if the blue ball's not touching the castle anymore, I'm not able to touch it anymore. The draggable condition gets released. That would mean that I'm only able to throw this ball within the bounds of the castle, which makes the game a little bit harder. You win. That's perfect. Once you're ready, we'll generate a link to share your game. We can do this by clicking on the Publish button, and we can click here by generating the link. Give it a few seconds. And it should give you this link where we can access on our browser. We'll click here to open your game in your browser. We can open our game in our browser by clicking on the Open button, or actually just copying this link and putting it in our browser. And let's put that URL in our browser. And there we go. We're able to play our game online or on any device. And once you're done, let's close this dialog box. Congratulations! We've just finished another tutorial.